Professor Indus slammed his fist on the lectern as the ancient human symbol flashed on the screen, his blue skin flushing indigo with outrage. His 4 arms quivered. How could primitive human history predate the mighty precursors? It was blasphemy. The young Malon students in the lecture hall murmured nervously, their iridescent scales rippling with confusion. Professor Indus was renowned across the galaxy as the foremost expert on ancient civilizations. In his millennia-long career, he had never been this shaken. Impossible. These barbarians had spacecraft 500,000 years ago. Indus zoomed in on the perplexing petroglyph, which clearly depicted a human in a spacesuit standing on an asteroid. If this is true, it rewrites history. The precursors were not the first spacefarers. Humans were. Indus turned to his brightest pupil, Zoran. This discovery could shatter the galactic order. We must uncover the truth about humanity's past, or the consequences will be dire. The future of our civilization hangs in the balance. Together, the determined duo began deciphering the secrets locked in the primeval scripture. With every clue, the revelations grew more astonishing and unsettling. An interstellar human empire, eons before the Malans crawled from their own oceans. Unthinkable. Yet the evidence was undeniable, and someone powerful was trying to keep it hidden. As Indus and Zoran dug deeper, they found themselves in a deadly race to expose the facts before humanity's enemies buried them forever. The fate of the galaxy now rested on the truth about the humans of old. Indus scrolled through the ancient text on his holodisplay, with Zoran peering over his shoulder. They scanned the glyphs, which showed a series of tall, bipedal creatures. The beings had 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, and a head with 2 eyes, a central nasal protrusion, and a mouth. The creatures appeared to be engaging in primitive hunter-gatherer activities, as well as crafting rudimentary tools. "These must be the humans," Zoran said, his voice hushed with awe. "They look so primitive. How could they have possibly made contact with the precursors?" Indus shook his head in disbelief. "It shouldn't be possible, and yet here we are, staring at the evidence." As they continued to analyze the texts, a fascinating story began to unfold. The humans, despite their relatively primitive level of technology, had somehow managed to forge an alliance with the enigmatic precursors. The glyphs described a human leader named Gerald Wright, who had impressed the precursors with his intelligence, charisma, and sheer force of will. Wright had convinced the ancient race to share their advanced technology with humanity, arguing that together they could achieve wonders. "Unbelievable," Indus muttered. This Gerald Wright must have been quite the diplomat, to think that he could persuade the precursors to ally with his species. Zoran nodded, his eyes wide with wonder. And the precursors actually agreed. They must have seen something special in humanity, something worth nurturing. The texts went on to detail how the humans and precursors had worked together, combining their knowledge and resources to explore the far reaches of the galaxy. They had ventured into uncharted territories, making groundbreaking discoveries that had long since been lost to time. "This changes everything," Indus said, his voice trembling with excitement. "If the humans and precursors were allies, then there's no telling what else they might have accomplished together. We have to keep digging, Zoran. We have to uncover the truth behind this ancient partnership." Zoran grinned, his scales shimmering with anticipation. "Lead the way, Professor. I'm with you every step of the way." Together, the 2 Malons delved deeper into the archives, determined to unravel the secrets of humanity's forgotten past. Little did they know that their quest for knowledge would soon lead them down a dangerous path, one fraught with peril and hidden enemies. As Indus and Zoran dug deeper into the ancient archives, their eyes widened with each new revelation. The once harmonious alliance between humans and precursors had taken a dark and devastating turn. "I can't believe it," Zoran whispered, his voice trembling with a mix of awe and horror. "The humans actually turned against the precursors, after everything they had accomplished together?" Indus nodded grimly, his gaze fixed on the glyphs before them. "It seems that power corrupts even the most noble of intentions." This Gerald Wright, who had once been a beacon of hope and cooperation, succumbed to his own ambition and greed. The texts painted a chilling picture of the war that followed. The humans, armed with the very technology they had gained from their former allies, waged a relentless campaign against the precursors. Battles raged across the galaxy, with both sides suffering tremendous losses. "The humans were tenacious, I'll give them that," Indus remarked, a hint of grudging respect in his voice. "They may have been outmatched in terms of raw technology, but their adaptability and strategic thinking kept them in the fight." Zoran shuddered as he read on, his scales rippling with unease. But then the precursors unleashed that biological weapon, one that specifically targeted human DNA. It must have been devastating for the human forces. Indus sighed heavily, his shoulders sagging under the weight of this newfound knowledge. And in response, Gerald Wright made a decision that could have doomed us all. A doomsday device capable of wiping out not just the precursors, but potentially all life in the galaxy. The two Malans fell silent, the gravity of the situation sinking in. They had uncovered a truth that had been buried for eons, a truth that could shake the very foundations of their society. "We have to keep searching," Zoran said at last, his voice filled with determination. "We need to know how this story ends." Indus leaned back in his chair, his eyes wide with disbelief as he processed the latest revelations from the ancient texts. Dr. Eliza Hoffman, a voice of reason amidst the chaos of war. Her actions were nothing short of heroic. Zoran nodded, his scales shimmering with admiration. To think that she and her team risked everything to create an antidote for the precursor bioweapon, and then to secretly distribute it among the human soldiers. It's incredible. "Indeed," Indus agreed, stroking his chin thoughtfully. "Hoffman's bravery and dedication to peace in the face of Wright's madness is truly inspiring. To hijack a precursor ship and use it to save countless lives, that takes guts." The two Malons pored over the glyphs, marveling at the details of Hoffman's daring mission. They could almost picture the brilliant scientist and her team working tirelessly in secret to synthesize the antidote, knowing that the fate of their species hung in the balance. "And it worked," Zoran exclaimed, his eyes shining with excitement. "The antidote turned the tide of the war, giving the human soldiers a fighting chance against the precursors once more." Indus frowned, his brow furrowing with concern. But Wright, he couldn't handle seeing his plans fall apart. His paranoia and instability led him to turn on Hoffman, accusing her of treason. "It's a good thing she managed to evade capture," Zoran remarked, shaking his head. "Who knows what would have happened if Wright had gotten his hands on her?" The ancient texts painted a vivid picture of Hoffman's unwavering commitment to her mission, even in the face of Wright's wrath. She and her team continued to distribute the antidote, sowing the seeds of peace among the warring factions. Hoffman's actions prove that even in the darkest of times, there are those who will stand up for what is right, Indus said solemnly, his voice filled with respect. She was a beacon of hope, a true hero who refused to let Wright's madness consume her species. Zoran leaned forward, his eyes locked on the glyphs before them. "I can't wait to see what happens next, Professor. Will Hoffman's efforts be enough to bring an end to the war, or will Wright's doomsday device still pose a threat to the galaxy?" Indus met his student's gaze, a determined glint in his eye. "We must keep reading, Zoran. The fate of our own civilization may depend on the lessons we can learn from this ancient conflict. Hoffman's bravery and dedication to peace must not be forgotten." Indus and Zoran pored over the final chapters of the ancient texts, their eyes widening with each shocking revelation. As the war between the humans and precursors reached its climax, a chilling truth emerged. Wright's doomsday device was no mere bluff. The text revealed that in his descent into madness, Wright had activated the device, setting it on a countdown to galaxy-wide annihilation. "Hoffman must have been desperate," Zoran whispered, his voice trembling. "To think that she would resort to killing Wright." Indus nodded solemnly. She had no choice. With the device activated and time running out, she did what she had to do to save countless lives. The glyphs depicted Hoffman's frantic efforts to deactivate the doomsday weapon, her fingers flying across the controls as she raced against the clock. But in a cruel twist of fate, the device could not be stopped, only delayed. "And then she made the ultimate sacrifice," Indus said, his voice heavy with emotion. "Uploading that virus, teleporting the device and herself into the void of space." Zoran shook his head in disbelief. She knew it would mean her own death, but she did it anyway, to save the galaxy from Wright's insanity. The texts described the detonation of the device in a distant, uninhabited region of space, the explosion consuming Hoffman and the surrounding area, but sparing the rest of the galaxy. In the aftermath, the precursors and remaining humans, both shaken to their core, agreed to a truce. "They vowed to learn from their mistakes," Indus said, tracing a finger over the glyphs, "to rebuild and heal, to strive for peace and understanding between their species." "But the scars ran deep," Zoran added, his scales rippling with unease. The trust between them had been shattered. It would take generations for those wounds to truly heal. As they finished recounting the story, Indus and Zoran sat in silence, the weight of their discovery hanging heavy in the air. The history of their galaxy, they now realized, was far more complex and tragic than they had ever imagined. "This tale of the humans and precursors," Indus said at last, his voice soft but resolute, "it serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked ambition, of the importance of peace and understanding between all species." Zoran nodded, his eyes gleaming with determination. "We must share this knowledge with the rest of the Malon. The lessons of the past must guide us towards a better future." With heavy hearts, the two Malons began to plan how they would present their findings to their people, knowing that the truth they had uncovered would forever change the course of their civilization. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.